Alright guys, we're back here at the shop again. I'm still here. I haven't got kicked out quite yet. But if you guys followed my video about my new bike, the folding Hove Beta electric bike from Hovsco, you would have seen that I took it all the way to the dunes in eastern Arizona, and my 2001 Beaver Patriot Thunder had a little bit of a mishap. Well, that didn't go quite as I planned. Unbelievably, just like every other RVer out there, my RV has problems too. I did my walk around and I was leaking quite a bit of fluid in the back area right here. And I had a coolant leak I had to get fixed in order to get back home. Let me preface this by saying I was already gonna be changing out my coolant surge tank, but I think the rough roads going into the park there, it was probably a little bit too much for the brittle 22-year-old plastic surge tank, and I got a crack on that surge tank and I had coolant leaking out of it. Now luckily the weather was pretty nice, so I didn't really have to worry too much about overheating. And while the dunes are about 20 some odd miles outside of Safford, Arizona, it does take about an hour driving on the rough road to get out of there. So I did just have to nurse it back to Safford, where I was able to find a Napa. And by an emergency tank repair kit, it's really just epoxy and some fiberglass. I was able to do a quick patch job. It was windy as can be. You just have to clean off the surface, scuff it up a little bit, cut the fiberglass matting to fit, mix up the epoxy, and then basically paint on a Band-Aid patch repair. Unsurprisingly, my patch repair was not perfect. It had a little bit of a leak, but it's a lot better than the stream that was shooting out of it under pressure. Now this surge tank replacement goes from being on the list to the next job I need to do on my 2001 Beaver Patriot Thunder, but we'll save the replacement on that for another video. Just always one more thing. Now obviously I recovered it back to the shop okay, so it wasn't a huge mishap, but it did almost strand me. And I need to get that fixed because I can't go driving with it and take it anywhere, because part of the problem is that I think this was a Ford part. Yes, you can see the Ford part number right there. From my understanding, this has been discontinued anyways. And not to keep reliving history, but a few months ago, Doug Sewell with Sewell Motor Coach sent me all the way to Bend, Oregon to pick up a Berkshire, or is it Berkshire? And we did a tour of the old Beaver plant. Well, it's a little bit colder here in Bend, Oregon, but you know what's behind me? Beaver Coach Sales. But also, this was the original headquarters of Beaver Motor Coach, the manufacturer of the best motorhome ever built, my motorhome. So Beaver Coach Sales now is a dealer for Newmar, Tiffin, Thor motorhomes, including other high-quality used RVs of all types, including a robust rental operation, all backed and supported by a complete RV service and parts department. The roots of the dealership are decades old, built around the Beaver Motorhome factory in Bend, Oregon. While the last of the Beaver motorhomes were built in 2009, the legacy of Beaver Motor Coach persists in the many original Beaver employees, and the obvious and subtle nods of that history can be found everywhere in the showroom, including a scale model of a Monaco-era Beaver Santium. Now, under the leadership of the owners, Ty and Jody Kelly, the dealership has thrived to the point that Beaver Coach Sales acquired the manufacturing and trademark rights for Beaver motorhomes from Rev Group in 2016, with the hope to one day revive Beaver Motor Coach manufacturing in Bend, Oregon. Which I only really bring up because that dealership that we went to, which is Beaver Coach Sales and Service in Bend, Oregon, did buy all the intellectual property and licensing rights for the old Beaver Motor Coach. And because it's such a common problem on these motorhomes, they came up with a permanent and lasting solution that obviously I need now. All right, hey, look at that, I got lights in here still. So I did order this a few months ago, and it's getting summertime, so I got to get it installed because I can't drive it around in this kind of Arizona heat without a pressurized cooling system. Because you can see the radiator cap on this is pressurized, so we need to get it to about, I think about 12 psi. It's not just a surge tank that's not under any pressure. So it's kind of important to the cooling system. So Beaver Motor Coach came up with a permanent solution, and they still support most functionality and parts and availability for their Beaver coaches. And I'm glad that they do, because their solution is a very elegant solution that should have been done when this was built. After all, this was a luxury, top-of-the-line RV in 2001. It probably should have had a steel tank on it. So this isn't aluminum. It is custom made, and they do make them there. And I think it has a lifetime warranty on it, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not saying it's inexpensive. Good thing I didn't lose those. Let's see if I got the invoice here. So, surge tank metal, all beavers in Safari. Look at that, $437.97. Out the door with shipping, about $460. Now, ironically, I think I did talk to Mike when I was there at the Beaver Coach Sales just a few months ago. He didn't remember me, but I did talk to him. He knew exactly what I needed and very knowledgeable in the product. It wasn't like leaving a message. So, very easy to work with these guys. That was just my long-winded introduction to let you know that we're going to upgrade my Beaver Patriot Thunder to a steel lifetime warranty coolant surge tank. Now, it shouldn't be too difficult of a job, and I'm not even a chassis guy. If you remember from about a year ago, I already did an analysis on the engine coolant, and it checked out great, so I don't need to flush the system. I just need to replace the surge tank. Now, because it's going to be such a fairly easy, straightforward job, knock on wood somewhere, because it just has 4 bolts. This is just going to be the overflow that goes down to the ground, and a couple connections on the back right here. I did another upgrade on the dash of the Beaver Patriot Thunder that I'll share with you guys at the end, and I was able to do it thanks to the parts support with Beaver Coach Sales out of Bend, Oregon. Now, Beaver Motor Coach Sales in Bend, Oregon didn't give me these parts, didn't offer any sponsorship whatsoever. I just think as a Beaver owner, it's good to let everybody else know that there's a good resource out there for their vintage Beaver motorhomes. But I'm also lucky that when this broke, it was still springtime, and I was able to fix this fairly easily with a little bit of an epoxy tank repair. But that's not a long-lasting repair, and it's still leaking a little bit. And if you were to look underneath, you can see it's just about ready to rupture everywhere. Kind of amazing that both Spartan and Freightliner used a plastic tank for a long time too. It seems obvious it should be a metal tank. You know what? Monaco did it too, and their surge tank was easily just as bad and discontinued. So you have to find a metal one on that one too. First thing you want to do is make sure the engine is not hot. Remember, this is a pressurized tank, and it has a pressurized cap on it, so we don't want to take this cap off if the coolant is hot, because you could burn yourself with 220 degree coolant, and we don't want to start repair that way. And the next step is going to be to drain the tank. Luckily, I have a very clean bucket down here. Not that one, that one. So probably the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to unbolt this thing. I'll just put some spray on there to make sure that the bolts don't jam up. So these look like they're just 7/16 bolts. Naturally. So we're just gonna take the bolts off, and then I'll just dump all the coolant out of here. I don't know how much is left. This is a really great location for it. The problem is that it's plastic and it's not completely protected from UV. And obviously the engine gets hot, so it's not protected from heat either. Cap off. Cap doesn't look too bad either. It's a little bit cracked on the seal there. Just have to drain out the coolant. Alright, so coolant's pretty much drained. Have the tank just dangling here. We only have the one main hose, 2 smaller hoses. That one's plugged off, and this is just going to be the overflow that would drain onto the ground should somebody overfill it or overheat the engine. We compare it to the new one. Oh my gosh, this thing's pretty heavy. Perfectly designed. So that's just going to already have the barb fittings on there for each one of those hoses. We'll inspect to make sure the hoses aren't cracked. Probably have a plug for that. And that's going to fit right on there too. It's already got the barb connection on it also. That's basically just a plug and play situation. Actually, I guess they upgraded it a little bit. There's a sight gauge on it, like you might get on a modern RV. So we're making this thing gonna be nice. Yeah, and unlike these plastic ones that you can't ever see the level on through them, you have to take the cap off anyways, this will have the sight glass on it. Very nice. And then this is a plug. This is a stainless steel plug too. It's not like iron or pipe. So it's probably gonna go right there. We're not using that port on this motorhome. That means we just have one more right there. And we have a brass plug on this one to swap out. It looks like somebody's probably had to fix that crack anyways. The threads were probably cracked. That's why the hose clamp's on there. Plastic metal threads, because plastic threads like that like to crack because there's pressure trying to spread that flange apart. So this should be pretty simple and easy. I hope I just don't regret saying that. First thing we'll do is just disconnect this hose clamp, slide that off. So the hose is cracked a little bit, so I might as well cut off the cracked part. Easy. Picks, and we'll just work this around underneath a little bit. These hoses seem a little bit tight, so I don't want to replace any hoses right now. I'm trying to make it easy. Just get underneath right there. I'm trying to work it around, break it free. Hopefully it should just come off now. Okay, and yeah, this looks a little bit cracked, so I will cut off just that cracked in. I hope I don't regret this. I'm actually really excited to show you a few of the upgrades I did on this, because one of them I made out of garbage and it turned out really good. Oof. Well, they picked some good hoses, that's for sure. Lasting the test of time after 22 years now. Gonna go ahead and tighten this one up so I don't lose that hose clamp. And then all I'm doing is just getting the pick underneath there and working it around the hose to kind of break it loose. A lot of the times that rubber likes to get stuck. All right. Now I can dump out the rest. All right, so on the stainless steel plug and on the sight gauge right here, we're just gonna go ahead and use some Teflon thread tape. I don't really want to use pipe dope because I don't want anything to get inside, because I don't want to get anything in the coolant system. I feel like this is going to be easier to do here rather than when it's on there, since the mounts that they used for the tank are a little bit flimsy. I guess I could tighten those back up again, but I want to make sure I have enough side-to-side motion to mount this thing, and I don't want to try to tighten anything up on there because I'll probably break those, because I tempted fate by saying this is going to be an easy job. Looks like this is probably about 1 1/16 inches. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this one up. And then all I'm doing is just getting the pick underneath there and working it around the hose to kind of break it loose. A lot of the times that rubber likes to get stuck. I'm But this was not, I checked this one, it's not 5/16, it's not 15/16, it's not 1 inch, it's not 24 millimeter, it's not 22 millimeter, so it might be 23 millimeter. And I don't know if you guys know this about me, but I'm not much of a chassis tech, and I don't like having a lot of wrenches with me. Plug on now. It's gonna go right there. And I think, if I remember correctly, they have to make these. I don't know if they keep them in stock or if they make them for order. So I remember talking to Mike, and I think there was a few days before they could send it because they still had to make the tank. So they have all the design, the tooling put together. They just make them on demand. It's really impressive. The welds on this look fantastic, and I keep calling it steel, but let me make sure that it is steel and not aluminum. Ha! Steel. Oh. It's probably not convincing when gravity's helping me. There we go. It's steel. Alright, so those are on there. Last thing I have to do, let's take the plug off this old one. That's just a brass plug. I know that if I don't clean it, I'll hear it in the comments. Remember, this is a Magnum chassis, so Beaver makes their own chassis, so they get to choose whatever components they want to put on this thing. Even though it's a CAT engine, they use the Ford surge tank. We got some tape on that. Put the last plug on. Alright, so 12.7/16 we'll get the job done. Alright. Alright, so make sure that when you install it, the radiator cap's up. That was a joke. Alright, so I didn't show you on this one. It's a little bit cracking when I squeeze it. And that section out too. Oh man, perfect. Excellent. I'm going to go ahead and hold off on tightening these hose clamps because I want them to face down, so it's easier to do when it's mounted on the mount. Just a little bit of persuasion there. Get that on there. Okay, so we got that on. We'll tighten those up once they are mounted. We'll find out if the hoses are too short now. No. I think it's gonna work. Just going with a split lock washer. The slots on the tank are pretty adjustable, along with the bracket too. But I think ideally I'd like this back as far as possible to make sure that this isn't going to hit my sight gauge. Or my sight glass, I guess is what I should call it. We're almost done. So they made it pretty tight right there with the rubber hose fitting against the tank. I could probably fit the hose clamp on right there, but it's going to be so close to the radiator cap that every time I take the cap off, I'm going to cut my hands, and really, I don't need a hose clamp on that anyways. It's just going straight into the atmosphere, or close to the atmosphere. Take the cap off. Oh, this one's rated at 18 pounds, so that was 6 pounds off. Now we just have to oh, the cleverness of me. And then those hose clamps fit squarely on the barb fittings that are made for it. It's almost like a plug and play factory design upgraded tank. It's easy to recommend this. You can tighten up these screws. All right, so pretty pleased with that. It was a very rough road that I took the motorhome on when I took the bike on a test drive. I'm just glad I was able to get it patched and repaired enough to get home, because it was about 400 miles from home. I'm glad that this hasn't ruptured on me. I've gone on a number of trips in this. This would be awful to have this happen. So if you're a Beaver owner and you still have your plastic tank, I would probably recommend go ahead and upgrading it to this lifetime warranty steel one from Beaver Coach Sales in Oregon. Maybe you won't have this for 20 years, but the next owner will be very appreciative of it. One way to make sure that your engine doesn't have problems is to keep it from a catastrophic overheating situation and losing your surge tank like that and all your coolant. It's a guaranteed way to doing it, right? And while we can say that $460 was a little bit of a high price, I think even the plastic ones, if you can find one, are about $200 now. So that's gonna have problems and fail. Or this one, lifetime warranty and solid. You can even see through it. Speaking of that, we should probably fill it up. The coolant that came out of this, likely because it is a tank, it's a little bit sludgy. I'm not too pleased with the color of it. Maybe it had a lot more dirt in it because it was at the bottom of the tank here. But luckily, I happen to have a pretty good supply of cat coolant. But I think I have one more. Yeah, right there. Look at that. Only the best for my C-12. And I don't know, it looks like it's about 2 gallons. Go ahead and put this in, and of course if you look at this, that's a horrible design. Everything that I said before I take back, right? No, you just need to get a transfer pump like this. All right, that one's no good. Let's see how this one does. All right, so let's see out. Could I try to use a funnel? Could I try to use an electric pump? Probably. Could I try to pre-fill it before I put it on? Probably. But this will work too. And these little suction pumps aren't very expensive. If I didn't have this tank, I was gonna have to put something like right there, and I didn't know what kind of surge tank I was gonna be able to use. I just need to add some water, right? I know that's what you guys are thinking. Luckily, the world's greatest RV has water for me. Okay, man, those lights look really good still. My basement's a mess. I've just been so busy doing so many different things all at the same time. Luckily, you guys have watched me do it, so I'm not even lying about it. All right, it's about a gallon of coolant, and we'll add about a gallon of water. Fill this a little bit, because I still have to run it, and I'm sure I lost some coolant in this process. Did I mention this was pretty easy? Oh, look at that. Perfection, huh? Run out of water. Estimated about 2 gallons of water. Or it was estimated about 2 gallons of capacity on this. And we're pretty much bubbling over. Ah! And with the sight gauge right there, I'm sorry, the sight glass, you can see that we are full. I guess I should shut this and make sure it doesn't hit. I don't want to be tempting fate too much. It doesn't touch. Perfect. And it's visible without opening up that. They really thought of everything at Beaver Coach Sales. And now before I start this up and bleed all the air out and get it up to temperature, make sure nothing leaks, this is a new addition I just did too. These are all the grounds to my tail lights and my trailer plug. Now when Beaver built this thing, the trailer wiring was routed underneath the hitch and it got completely destroyed. So I completely rewired this, rerouted the harness where it makes more sense and it's up out of the way. Won't get attacked by the belts. And we definitely have a ground through this stud and through a ground, all those. So that's a little upgrade I did too. It was just dragging, getting destroyed down there. If you go back to the videos, you might be able to see it, but now it's not the low point. Yeah, it was hanging underneath. It was the low point. It's enough. All right, so go ahead and go inside. Oh, it'll start very well without a key. Cat doesn't have a glow plugs on it. As I wait for the engine to warm up so we can test for any leaks. Cap on there. I need to take my gloves off because what I want to show you is inside. So of course you guys did watch me put in the new radio and I pointed out that my speakers were bad. So I upgraded my speakers. We have some Sony speakers up in here. Just 2 speakers, that's it. That's all that you need for the dash area. You'd be quite surprised how difficult it is for manufacturers to figure out you don't have to have home theater and your dash radio on the same set of speakers. But that's not the upgrade I want to show you guys. You need to open up this. If you have a keen eye, you should have seen it already. So I have done about 10 road trips in this Beaver Patriot Thunder, and in Arizona, most of our major highways go east and west, which means I've driven with a lot of sun in my eyes, both directions. Now I do have these manual roller shades that I can just barely reach when I'm driving down the road, but of course the sun wants to come in from here, and then this visor is pretty difficult for the passenger to stand up and get to. And of course, as the driver, I can't get to it at all. I get sun coming from there quite often, or I have to pull over and put that visor down. Now I do still have one over here, but that's fine. That's perfect for the side visor. But I was able to, when I went through Beaver Coach Sales parts availability, I noticed they sold these switches. And you know what else they sold? A driver visor switch. So now I do have a power visor that will come down. I know what you guys are saying. I don't like power shades. I make it very clear in my videos. But if you watch my videos, I make it very clear that I think a power visor is the only thing that makes sense. Very surprisingly, the windshield pillars will fit it perfectly. This is what I'm excited about. And I had one extra spot in my dash for that exact switch. So now it looks factory and period perfect again. So it matches perfectly. And I can't speak for you guys. I think having a screen visor is dumb. I know the industry has a blackout and a screen visor for the dashes. I think it's stupid. So I didn't need to have a second switch. And before you ask, remember I said I made this out of garbage? Now one of my dealers had 2 sets of shades. They were broken and bad repair. One was an auto motion shade set and the other one was an MCD shade set. So I didn't need that one anyways. I was able to take the night material off of a MCD shade and put it on the tube and use the lower guide of an auto motion shade. Put a new motor in it, cut off the tip right there for the day screen visor that I didn't want anyways. And now I have a custom made power visor. Maybe there's a little bit of a gap on the side, but I think I can lean a little bit if I need to. This is what I was really excited to share with you guys, was that I have a power visor now on my 2001 Beaver Patriot Thunder. And that in conjunction with my new dash radio, my silver leaf, and upgraded compartment lighting, and now my lifetime warranty surge tank. This might be better than a brand new luxury diesel pusher. But of course, what I also like about it is that I didn't have to get rid of the manual shades either. I just had to move them forward just a little bit. It barely fit in against the windshield on both sides. I really wish I could have shared this project with you guys too, but I can't share every project I do, otherwise I'll never get anything done. And then 2, how often is anybody gonna run across 2 sets of broken power shades that you can make one good roller out of? I was so excited that I didn't clean the fabric all the way, and this visor's been laying around for the better part of 4 years, I think. So it's still a little dirty up there. It needs to be cleaned, but that can be done later. All right, so we're up to temperature, I would say. Let's go see if we have leaks. Turn that off so you guys can at least hear me. And let's look underneath. No leak. No leak. I think we're good. No leak. It's nice and hot too. Don't touch this. Ooh, that's hot. All right, guys, so there you have it. We replaced one of the weak spots on a Beaver motor coach. The plastic surge tank that we all saw was pretty broken underneath. And I wouldn't have even known it was leaking unless I took this folding e-bike from Hovsco, the Hove Beta, on a test drive. And if you guys want to see me fixing the thing, just go watch the video of me showing how that bike works. A lot of fun. That nice. Close that up. Now, of course, don't forget we need to dispose of the coolant properly. I think in my oil change video I showed you I take this stuff down to Napa. It's just easier for me because I don't do a lot of fluid replacements. But thanks a lot for following me on my adventure with my 2001 Beaver Patriot Thunder. We're going to upgrade this thing and to make it better than any current RV ever made, because it's been the best one made in 2001, but we're going to go shoot for best one ever made. Bye, guys. Maybe I say things are a game changer a little too often, but that's some bright sun coming in there. Now I just have to push that button right there. That's a lot better. My surge tank for the engine coolant system cracked right here on the heavy roads. You can see it's pretty brittle. It is pretty brittle. It is a very brittle plastic. And I did know that it was a problem when I got it. It was on my list of things to do. It wasn't a list of things to do right now, but now obviously it is. But that was just my long-winded, since I was ordering this anyways, I decided I should probably do a different upgrade, because I thought I would do another upgrade on the front of my motorhome and show you guys. I did another upgrade on the front of my motorhome, and I did another upgrade in the dash area on my motorhome. lifetime warranty steel one from Beaver, this lifetime warranty steel tank from Beaver Coach Sales. This lifetime might make a diesel chassis tech out of me yet, huh? Unless you guys are yelling at my screen at something I did wrong. The sun goes right through the sun goes right through the material. I have a lot more fun plans for this. Sorry, it's a pretty good platform for me to have a lot of fun with, guys. But I'm very excited that you guys are so excited to share it with me. Still good TV install, very clean. Did you guys see my